G'day everyone. Today I want to share with you this design that I've modified for a planer sled. So when you want to joint some timber, how do you get it straight? And so this guy, Brian Ward, has this great video, which I'll put a link on the description below, for this planer sled where you are able to use wedges to support the beam as you put it on the sled and run it through the sled. So here's my design based on the ideas that he has. Instead of having varying gaps between the spaces in the sled, mine are all uniform. And what we're trying to do here is take a board like this, which has got a bit of a bend in it, and support it all the way through the planer so that we can straighten the top edge of it, and then flip it over and straighten the other side. So with my design, I've taken a 75mm, it's around 3 inches gap in between, and on the end of the sled I've got this 41mm piece, which is just to hold the end of the timber. We'll talk about that a bit later. And I made up this 75mm spacer and just used that to nail on these pieces in between to create these 75mm gaps, and just keep repeating that all the way through, putting the spacer in, putting new piece in, gluing and brad nailing the piece on. Now when you're finished, the board can sit on top of the sled this way, and that lip on the end will stop it moving. Now there seems to be a bit of a debate on YouTube as to which way the heel of the sled should go. It needs to go on the front of the sled because it's the wheels pushing the timber through, and you want to stop it sliding on the sled. So here are the wedges that I've made up. Haven't got a name for them yet. They look a little bit like a herringbone, and the wedges have these like featherboard pieces on them, which allows them to be slipped into the gaps here. It's just a little bit over 75mm wide, these herringbone pieces, and they just slide in one way. They can't come out the other way, and they're firm enough to hold the sled in. And so you put them around in the locations that you need to give the board support so that you can run it through the planer. Now one of the questions comes up as to, well, what stops the board moving around? Because a lot of these other designs use glue. So I've made these other pieces up which have like a heel on them, and you can put those in here at the front and the back of the board. Again, they just slide in one way, and you can put them at either end like this, and it holds the piece firmly in place. And I found that there's really no need for glue. These wedges and heels fit firmly, and the board can't really move. Once it goes through the planer, it stays in place and it's not moving around. So you can see here I've still got a bit of movement in the board, and I couldn't see that with my eye. I could only see it with the camera later, and foreshadowing a modification coming up shortly. So here we measure the board 80mm, plug in the dust extraction to the planer, and wind up to about the 80mm mark on the planer, and get ready to put the board through. Dust extraction on, and earmuffs on to protect the hearing, and in we go with the board, setting the things going. I won't make you watch the entire process here, we'll speed this up, but just keep putting it through the board. Obviously I need to set up a better setup on a table with the planer. Just sitting on the floor is not working as well as it should. And this was the very first time that I'd used this, so I'm still learning as we go. Just wind about half a turn on the planer and send it through again. And again, I've got a lot of work to do here just to get the planer set up better. I'm getting more snipe than I should be, and that's really just a function of not having a flat surface to run the boards through. I was just doing half a turn at a time and keep running the board through until it's sorted out, so we'll just speed this up. And you'll see when we get through this process that it didn't work as well as I hoped it would. So here's the top of the board after I'm done, and you can see there this is not as straight as I hoped it would be. Clearly the sled was not supporting the board as well as I wanted it to. So I wondered what was going on here, and of course what was going on was the sled itself was flexing, and so as it went through the rollers the sled would flex. So the answer was fairly simple, I just needed more wedges, and so off to the 3D printer, just copy some more of the wedges onto the build plate and hit print, and off we went. And here they are, finished, ready to go. We've got another 6 wedges, and hopefully that should solve the problem now. So I'm using a Bamboo Lab X1 carbon if anyone's interested. So here I am putting these extra wedges in on the sled, supporting it at least every second one. The plywood I'm using here is a high grade formwork plywood, and it's 19mm thick, so it should be pretty strong, but clearly the pressures inside the planer are more than I expected, and so here we are, just a bit more support and setting it back up again, ready to go back through the planer. One of the things I've noticed with these wedges is they do go in one way, they don't move, they're very solid, but if you move them in too far then you have to lift the board up, and because they'll only pull out either straight up, or if you push them, sort of continue to push them in the one direction, that they will go and pull them out at the same time. So that's one downside with these wedges, but they're certainly easy to use, and with the consistent spacings in the sled you can put them anywhere. Much happier now. This board's going through without any flex. Problem seems to be solved. Right here we've got a nice straight edge, and so the problem was solved. Very happy with all of that. So the pros of all of this is clearly, we don't need glue. It's very simple to use and reuse, and it's quite inexpensive to make. These wedges are fairly cheap to print if you've got the printer. I will be selling them on my website if anyone's interested. As far as the cons are concerned, it's pretty heavy, and so a long piece of timber like this is a bit hard to move around. It's not fully universal, doesn't suit every situation. I built it just for this job, but shorter pieces of wood probably require a shorter sled. And the fact that the wedges only work one way, you can push them in, but you can't pull them out without lifting the timber. You have to get used to that. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this, and please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. I'll see you next time.